When I hear people discussing how complicated this show is when it comes to its premise, and then we get an episode like this, well, it has cliches from the past that it doesn't really feel that complicated, and the goal that Hailey has isn't really that complicated. Honestly, some episodes aren't really that complicated when they have premises that we've seen in the past, and for me personally, this episode is probably the most cliched episode in the entire show, to where it makes me feel like that whenever this show doesn't try too hard, the fans just think otherwise. As if it wasn't enough for them to think otherwise after considering that this show was probably not the best idea to be streaming on Disney Plus, and I'm not talking about those people who really wanted this show to succeed. The premise of It's All Gonna Be OK Pop is, well, Hailey and Scott won tickets and VIP passes to the Soulmates concert, which is a K-pop group, but Hailey's mother forbids her from going since that she promised her to take care of Dwayne and Johnson, who are her twin brothers who are also babies. And by taking the easy way out, Hailey takes Dwayne and Johnson on leashes with Scott's help to see the Soulmates concert. Not really much of this premise. Well, you pretty much knew where this is going, and yet it's difficult for me to see that the premise of this show is complicated when it comes to Hailey's choices. And in all honesty, the choices that Hailey does in this, when it comes to her crush with the main lead in Soulmates, truth be told, I'm honestly surprised that this episode didn't take a direction where Hailey wants the leader of Soulmates to be her boyfriend, in comparison to the male character that she had in the finale. I forgot his name, I apologize, but my point is that the cliche factor in this episode when it comes to the mother acting responsible only to be a hypocrite by having her husband do her work by going to the same concert that Hailey's going to. Honestly, I find it difficult to see the critiques when it comes to how complicated Hailey's goal is by saving the future, or saving the universe when it comes to her to-do list. In all honesty, rewatching this episode, thinking about this, it really gave me the impression that there really isn't anything complicated when it comes to Hailey doing a list in order to prevent the future. And to be perfectly real, that's honestly what makes her a lot more complex by making her unique in comparison to other Disney Channel leads when it comes to Anne, Luce, and Molly. In my point of view, whenever I see Hailey in this episode, she has some hobbies, and those hobbies are the K-pop group Soulmates. And even though that K-pop have been overused in these modern cartoons, at the very least, I can't really judge Hailey on being into K-pop, considering that even before K-pop became mainstream, bands, when it comes to boy bands, girls would still eat that up even back then, but also to this day. No matter what group it is, it could either be a regular boy band, a rapping boy band if girls enjoy dating rapper boys, and obviously K-pop people, because every time I think about K-pop, all I can think of is it's like the ultimate dream for fangirls, and that is still relevant even to this day. Regardless if they harass anyone in the group of K-pop, or basically doing anything in order to get something from K-pop, this episode would still age over time, since that even though that Hailey isn't a harasser when it comes to K-pop material, she is still a fangirl, and honestly, if she wasn't a fangirl and she really cannot stand the Soulmates band, then this entire episode wouldn't even happen, and it would have made Hailey a little unlikable. And with Scott being the only one enjoying K-pop, then it really showcases that these two will probably have nothing in common. And since Scott was the reason they are going to the concert due to Scott's backflip fail, honestly, it's surprising that they did something right with Scott's character than what SpongeBob's character from the concert episode in the post-movie era of SpongeBob. Since that, I can easily see Scott as a likable character compared to SpongeBob in that episode. And getting into the fact that Hailey's mother actually attended to the concert, honestly, if she wasn't attending, then it really gave me the impression that she would have been like Zack and Cody's mom, Carrie. Well, she wasn't ditching anything in that episode, but at the same time, it really makes me convinced that Hailey's mother just can't be able to take responsibility seriously, and honestly, it really makes me feel like that Disney's Channel standards really wanted Carrie to be the best mother when it comes to Disney Channel. But my point is that Hailey's mother just doing all this while lying about a meeting for the sake of going to the concert really makes me convinced that this show isn't really that complicated despite the goal that Hailey needs to do. Like taking care of Dwayne and Johnson, which I know it's a reference of the name Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but my point is that when it comes to them taking care of them too, well, she really wants to prove responsibility to her mother. Honestly, it doesn't change the fact that they really made the babies in this a lot more likable and enjoyable. Granted, not on Lily Loud levels from the Loud House or any other baby that is adorable in any other cartoon, but at the same time, their designs aren't that bad. It really makes me convinced that they can still carry an episode when it comes to small scenes, and with them dancing with soulmates, you can't say with a straight face that this plan was avoidable because Hailey's mom saw Dwayne and Johnson and Hailey on stage, so it's really a lose-lose situation for Hailey with her mom in the crowd. Granted, I'm honestly surprised that Hailey catched on her mother's lies, but at the same time, it really makes me convinced that there is still no avoiding this no matter what. If you ask me, that's not really complicated to remember the structure of this episode when it comes to Hailey's situation and the hypocrisy from her mother. This episode really made me think that this show isn't really that complicated when it comes to Hailey's goal, and honestly, Disney still removing this show even after a year from the streaming service is still unforgivable. But if I watch more of this show when it comes to Hailey's goal, I will probably find other ways that it's not as complicated as some people have stated it was complicated. I'm just gonna say that with people who stated that this show will have been the next Owl House, it's false in my point of view because they tried way too hard. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that this show is complicated to follow, because the Owl House was complicated for me to follow despite enjoying this series, and the series, despite having a different premise, still got me invested. And with this show, despite I couldn't get invested into it, it was for different reasons. It wasn't because it was complicated. If it was too complicated, then this show wouldn't be Disney Channel material when it comes to catered to kids. So with that being said, this episode is good and not really complicated. And truth be told, if they did show Hailey and Scott doing literally everything on the list that Hailey needs to do when it comes to this episode, then I can totally understand where people are coming from. But I'm sure that other episodes don't show the main character doing every single technique when it comes to every single detail. That would make this show complicated, and I can understand where people are coming from. I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10, and with October arriving soon, every Friday will be a horror/Halloween review, and I have 5 of them. Yep, not 2, 5 horror/Halloween episode reviews.